We can't do cold opens this time.
I know.
Actually, I'm going to put this as the cold open. Us mentioning how we shouldn't do cold opens anymore.
Why not cold opens?
Because they're confusing and I think they put people off almost immediately.
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I like them. They're fun.
I'm going to put the intro there.
Aww.
No! Here!
Dagwit.
Wait, we didn't say what we're called or what we do.
Yeah, I know.
We haven't started yet.
Hello!
No, you don't start it!
How do we start this?
You're not the host. Ben's the host.
Oh, Ben's the host.
We're all the host.
I thought the host was
We're
whoever picked the
co-hosts.
thing.
No, but remember Ben.
We are so unbelievably bad at this.
You're
we are
presenting.
so good.
And we're all co-hosts.
Yeah. So,
Hi, I'm Ben.
and I'm Stefan.
And he's Michael. Don't let him talk yet. Okay.
Good idea.
And we are
Animating in threes. And Michael didn't do it again.
Yeah, that's because he was laughing.
Keep going. I don't want to edit all of this.
Oh, so we are an animated we are a podcast where another three guys from around the world decide to put their input into animation.
Two of us are from the eastern suburbs, and then there's you who has to drive an hour
I'm
every
from
day.
the southeastern suburbs. Thank you very much.
So we cover a breadth of cultures.
Yes, very much so. Yeah, so today we are going to be talking about...
One day we're going to be really exotic and get like a guest from Dandenong or something.
That's in between his and my place, so that works. Anyway, we are going to be talking about South Park today, presented by Michael.
Oh, that's me.
Yeah.
Wait, do I start?
No.
Okay.
I was just hoping you would say something, and you did say something.
Never turn to me to say anything even remotely amusing.
So before we get into it, we are going to be talking about what we've been watching this week that has been animated. And Michael is shaking his head.
So let's start with Michael. Michael, what have you seen that's animated?
I saw one of those insurance commercials that has like an animated gecko in it.
Ah, yeah.
Does that count?
No.
No, Michael.
Stefan, what did you watch?
Okay. So two things. I'll mention it because I mentioned it every week so far. I finished the second season of Star vs. the Forces of Evil. It's at this point I would like to officially say all my complaints at the first season of it being memey or it being a bit not as serious, completely out the window. I love this show now. It's now obsession level with Gravity Falls. I think it's brilliant. It does the awesome thing that animated shows are doing nowadays where it normalizes bisexual and LGBT relationships, which is really good. And it just has this really nice heart to it that I'm really growing attached to. Apart from that, I started watching the Netflix original Hilda.
Ah!
So
cool.
It's based on the graphic novel by Luke Pearson, and it is a world I wish I could live in. It is the most beautiful thing I have ever seen. It's got pastel colours, and it's like a Studio Ghibli film come to life.
A Studio Ghibli film come to life.
Yeah, in this world, I mean. Like,
Okay.
Usually Studio Ghibli films take place in, like, a weird, like, mixed world. Whereas this world feels like this is the real world if it had these magical creatures. And it's got such a great atmosphere. And the thing I love about it is the Hilda and her mum have such an adorable relationship. It is just... I saw episode 3 of when they really come to terms with why they had to move to this town. And I just thought, this is so sweet.
I like the
wish I
colours.
could live here.
Yeah. How much have you watched of it?
I've seen the first 4 episodes.
Okay.
So just after the bird. And at the moment, if it continues this episodic pace, I really like it. It's like a little adventure book sort of thing.
Have you met her friends yet? Her new
Yes,
friends? Yeah.
but they haven't become her friends. It just kind of showed them. Also, the opening animation and the animation throughout is so great.
It is super stunning. And I think the opening won an award recently.
Oh,
for,
did it?
Best animated opening of 2018.
Oh, definitely. Because usually when Netflix does its skip the credits, I usually love that because it can just skip the credits. But this, I'm just like, no, don't skip the credits. I want to hear the song. I want to see the opening. But no, I really, really love it. I can't wait to see the rest of it. So,
Cool. Are you
Ben!
are you gonna finish it before your Netflix thing expires?
in 2 days, no way.
Well, good luck to you. I have been watching the new Netflix animated series called Tuca and Bertie. So it's by the same production company as BoJack Horseman, and the production designer of BoJack Horseman has created this show, and the creator of BoJack Horseman is producing this show as well.
Okay.
So it's a very similar team, but it is, apart from that, in a few similar themes towards it, and it's very different. So I showed you to the opening intro. It has very animated animation, if you know what I mean.
I couldn't get past the building with boobs.
Yeah. So that's the very first thing you
It's
see.
kind of when I switched off.
It was the first thing me and Michael noticed when we saw the opening, and for
I didn't
somehow,
see it.
Ben, it
So-
took 5 episodes to
How
notice
do you
it.
not
The next
notice that?
episode.
Oh, the
It's
next.
because the movement of it was just so nice, not in a weird way.
Like, it was
but just like,
consistent with the world's animation.
yeah, because it was so consistent with everything else. I was just like, oh, that's nice animation. And then the next episode, I was like, oh, wait, they're boobs.
It had that whole 1920s thing when everything inexplicably bounces.
Yeah.
Does it
And-
actually continue that in the show?
Okay, so in the show, it's I'll say what the show is about first. So it's just about these, instead of BoJack Horseman, where it's about this one depressed has-been horse superstar, whatever. This is just about 2 ordinary female friends just going about their way in life in their 30s.
But they're birds.
Yes. So
What birds are they? Are they a
so it's a
toucan?
song thrush and a toucan.
What's a song thrush?
It's a song thrush. That's all I know.
Okay.
But no, it's so the world. So as you saw, I showed you a bit from it. They're like rigged characters from like Toon Boom Harmony, but throughout the episode, a few times throughout the episode, there's like hand animated stuff as well,
Okay.
and like the backgrounds are very loose and wild, and it's in a very surreal animated world, which I really like. And every time there's a flashback, it's in a completely different style. There's even a part where there's a puppet. There's a part where it's claymation, and there's a few songs sprinkled throughout it as well.
In one of the musical moments you showed us, what I really liked is its color management of its midground and background. Like, the background would have like a solid red, and then the midground would have like a yellow over all its objects instead of detailing them. It made it look really abstract and kind of like, oh, this may or may not be in the actual reality when the songs are taking place,
And
so to
there's
speak.
so many 360 shots as well.
Really?
Yeah, there's a ton of them. So like the planning for that would have been crazy, and the rules of this universe aren't as strict as BoJack Horseman, where like there's animals and humans living side by side. There's no pets. There's no normal birds flying in the air or insects in the air. Whereas this breaks that. Like there's plant people. There's a dog anthropomorphic dog character with a dog pet and stuff like that.
So it seems like a freer, more accessible BoJack. BoJack seems
But
dour.
this is nowhere near as dour as well. It's
Yeah.
more upbeat and fun to watch.
Okay.
So yeah, I found it really enjoyable, and if you like BoJack Horseman, I'll give this a shot.
How many episodes?
It is
are
10
there?
episodes.
Finished?
Yes, I have finished them.
Season 2?
Season 2, I don't think it has been renewed yet.
Okay. But I'm guessing
I'm
if
hoping
it goes
does.
successful.
Yeah, because this is actually one of the very few animated adult shows that have been created by a woman as well. So
Oh,
it's,
cool.
yeah, so it's like this, Daria, and like 2 or 3 more.
Oh,
then,
don't.
like, that's
Daria
it.
just gave me some nostalgia I don't want to relive.
Anyway, so
Don't you like Daria?
No.
so it's a bit refreshing for that sort of sense as well.
Yeah,
and like
definitely.
having a centered relationship on 2 female friends as well. And there's also some bi representation as well, like with Star versus Forces of Evil. And yeah, it's a pretty great show. Except just episode 9 is a bit heavy, but yeah, it's pretty good.
Awesome. So, we should probably start with our topic. So, take it away, Michael.
I just want to start with the gay representation in South Park isn't quite as nuanced as...
As these 2 shows, no.
I have to cut so much of this out. Anyway, what are we doing today, Stefan?
We are reviewing the South Park movie.
Are we
aren't
even reviewing it? We're just talking
We're
about
talking about it.
We just kind of, I noticed we just kind of go through them sequentially.
Except we're trying to pass it off to you, not you passing it off to me.
We go through it chronologically and then just make surface level like comments or observations.
it. Yep.
South Park, bigger, longer, and uncut. So, it's a 1999 American kind of satirical musical black comedy and the first cinematic adaptation of the 1997 series South Park, which is still going to this day. Unusually enough for a lot of cinematic adaptations of television shows, this one was commissioned only a year after the series premiered.
I find that so bizarre. Like,
Yeah.
how does it get a movie that quickly? What took The Simpsons, 20 years to get a movie?
Yeah. Because The Simpsons started in 1987 was the shorts, 1989 was the series premiere, and then the movie was in 2007, so it took 20 years.
Yeah.
South Park took one. But South Park, I think, generated enough merchandising revenue that they felt like a cinematic adaptation was worth their while. It ended up being distributed by Paramount Pictures in 1999.
Also, I'm guessing the animation would have been cheaper than the Simpsons movie.
Oh, it's a lot cheaper. We'll go into basically the animation techniques later and how they do it today. But contrary to popular belief, in the sense that a lot of people think that the entirety of the show is, at least for most of its run, was animated in traditional papermation, but only the pilot is animated in traditionally. Everything else is animated digitally, and we'll get into the techniques later on.
That was literally the only episode I've ever seen, so I just assumed.
I think it's called Cartman Gets an Anal Probe.
Yes, there are aliens.
That is the most bizarre way to start your series.
Yeah.
Usually you want to ease your way into all the
No,
weirder
just
stuff.
alienate your audience from get-go.
Ever since that episode aired as well, I'm pretty sure, I think there's a running joke in South Park how there's always like one of those grey aliens in the background of almost every episode. And there is,
yeah, that's right.
and there is one in the film.
Is there?
And we'll get to that.
So, do you want to talk about our exposure to South Park so far?
We
Like,
don't
before
have
that?
much.
Yeah, so what have you seen of South Park?
I'm not a regular watcher. I'm kind of like, I guess, an admirer of... I think Matt Stone and Trey Parker, the two kind of creative heads behind South Park, are two incredibly multi-talented people. These are people responsible for not only South Park, but even like a foray into the musical theatre. They're responsible for the Book of Mormon musical, which I really recommend if that's anywhere near you.
I've listened to the soundtrack of that because my brother has it, because he saw it and he loved it.
It's fantastic. It's really good. There's they continue their tradition of, with Book of Mormon, incredibly catchy songs about like repression and sexuality. And there's another rock song about going to hell in that, actually.
There is.
There's a lot of story structure and like musical structure parallels that are prevalent in both South Park the movie and the Book of Mormon that I'll get to.
Did they also do Team America?
They did, yeah. Sorry, I'll get to more of their cinematic
sorry.
stuff. Production of Team America World Police, which I think is also has music. It's
I
a
haven't
musical.
seen it.
I think it is also a musical. I think there's a running joke. I think it's Trey Parker has mentioned before that he tries to instinctively make everything a musical.
Which is good, because musicals are dying out nowadays, and they're still really fun to watch, but because the main public just wants to see the big blockbuster action sort of stuff,
Yeah,
it's nice that some people are sticking to the musical guts.
yeah. Marvel, make a musical.
Oh, I
Oh
love
no,
that.
that would...
Or
that
DC does a Musical Meister. In the Batman the Brave and the Bold, they did a Music Meister episode,
Really?
which actually won a Tony.
Oh wow, I didn't know that.
Yeah.
No, the new Joker
I want to say
thing should
Batman.
be...
I want to say Batman croons the classics.
Batman croons the...
Well, it was Neil Patrick Harris was the villain in that.
I think you said Neil Patrick Harris was Batman.
No, he was singing as the villain.
Oh, okay. The core themes of the film, what they wanted to tackle is kind of satirizing censorship. It's primarily a dig at like the Motion Picture Association of America and how they have very like arbitrary censorship guidelines, especially in terms of what is deemed appropriate for young viewership when like in comparison to violence and swearing.
There's a great line that one of the characters say that we should go later on.
Yeah,
that
yeah,
really,
it-
it pretty much embodies that
Yeah.
sense in one line.
It's satirizing that kind of anomaly in Western culture where we see foul language as almost more of kind of a severe affront to children than violence.
Yeah,
which really doesn't make
when in
sense.
actuality, when you think about that, it is kind of strange. So yeah, continuing our discussion of the film. So it's relatively star-studded. Not only do you have the voice cast from the television series itself, where most of the voices are like digitally altered versions of Trey Parker and Matt Stone, but you also have cameos from George Clooney, Eric Idle, Mike Judge, and the lead singer of Metallica, whose name escapes me.
We're not going to look it up, by the way.
And basically the plot follows upon the release of an R-rated animated comedy in the small town of South Park, the four boys inadvertently cause a war between the USA and Canada, after Canada is blamed for the corruption of children in America.
That was a really good plot summary.
Yeah.
Also Saddam Hussein and Satan are there.
As
You
a
know-
couple, by the way.
It was distributed by Paramount Pictures and Warner Brothers Entertainment, one of the Red Joints distributions from those two companies. It was directed by Trey Parker and produced by Parker and Stone, and it was released on June 30, 1999, with a beautiful runtime that fits within my parameters of this podcast of 81 minutes.
Yeah, I was surprised it was
Lovely.
that short.
It had a budget of only 21 million, but made 83.1 million at the box office.
That's pretty good.
So it's a decent return, and upon release was generally well received by critics and fans. Obviously, there was some controversy over its content, in just how kind of unforgivingly vulgar it was.
How
But
was it
that's the
perceived?
point of it, though.
But that is the point. It is a dig at censorship, and it is a dig at. There's so much swearing in this film, but the whole satire behind it is that swearing as an act in and of itself is relatively benign when compared to something like violence. Yeah, so it does hold, in Guinness World Records 2001, the film is said to have the most profanity used in an animated picture, with a total of 399 swear words.
And I'm pretty sure it still holds that record.
I think it does. I haven't heard anything that is
Well,
kind of
the
usurped
only
that.
thing that might have beat that is Sausage Party, but I don't think it does.
Oh, funnily enough, it was the highest grossing adult animated comedy film until Sausage Party, which outgrossed
To
it.
be fair, I think
Oh,
that's the only
nuts.
one that there has been released to the mainstream public.
Yeah, you don't find many animated comedy films centered at targeted at adults. I think film distribution companies consider it a risky move because
Yeah.
you don't quite. It is a confusing thing to market. At least South Park had a legacy behind it, and it was kind of known to the public that it was for adults.
I think as time goes on, I think we'll find that sort of genre will be more prevalent as we grow up to our 40s and we look for those sort of animations.
Yeah.
And I think that'll become a thing later on.
It's definitely becoming more mainstream,
Oh,
especially
yeah.
with the release of Rick and Morty.
Oh,
'cause that
totally.
caused a huge.
I think the rise of kind of internet distribution is responsible for the adult animation boom, especially.
I entirely agree with that.
Yeah. It became easier for Gen X creators to start distributing kind of animated content really easily. I'm not sure this is confirmed, but in regards to that 399 swear word count, it was rumored that I'm not sure if this is confirmed, that Trey Parker and Matt Stone were told by Paramount that if they use up to 400 swear words, then they would receive an NC-17 rating by the Motion Picture Association of America, and they wouldn't be eligible for a wide release. But South Park has all the swear words.
It does.
You got your C word. You got your other C word. You got your S word.
You got your other S word if there is one.
Probably. You got your D word. And everyone's favourite.
We're gonna have to bleep that out.
Yeah, I'll bleep that.
I love how it almost normalizes the swear words with how much it says it.
No, I think that's also the joke, that you just become numb to it at the end.
Yeah.
Yeah, but...
Actually, that's I was talking about this to Stefan because I wasn't watching this in the right mindset when I started watching it. The first 20 minutes or so, when it's just swear after swear, it was just.
But the
That tired
first
me.
about 8 or so minutes of the film are comically clean and kind of wholesome. But we'll get to that once we
In
go through it.
terms of story structure, I love that.
Yeah, so released in 1999. Now Trey Parker, Matt Stone, and musical fanatics, especially Trey Parker, I think they had released an indie cult student film in 1993 called Cannibal the Musical, which is a musical about I think a cowboy who gets lost in the woods and has to resort to cannibalism, and it's a comically kind of upbeat and happy musical about that.
Of course.
Yeah, and the music in the film was written by Trey Parker and Mark Shaman, and every song is evocative of a Broadway style musical, but in a thematically different style each time, or reflective of a different genre each time.
Which is something I really liked because you weren't expecting the same thing every time.
No, you're really not.
Just as a quick note, I love the contrast between the usual animation style of this show and then how some of the songs have the most extravagant Broadway endings. It's just beautiful to see these wonderful, glorious endings done in this sort of
Nondescript.
yeah, this style that just looks very papermation and just stoppy. It's just that's such a unique comparison you would not see in any other show.
You two are animators, and I'll talk a little bit about the animation of this production and of the show itself. Now, this was animated on software produced by Alias Systems called Power Animator, which I think is a now obsolete animation
Yeah,
software.
definitely.
I've never heard of this.
Neither of you never heard of it.
Nope.
So it's animated on Power Animator. Again, this is the late 1990s. The show was actually animated on Power Animator until season 5 when it switched to Maya, which I think you two are across.
Yes.
Yeah.
Would you like to just give a little rundown of what Maya is?
So Maya is a 3D program where you model, rig, and even render animations and objects in. So you can pretty much make a complete film in it and then do the compositing later.
Okay.
Yeah, so it requires everything you need to make a film.
But it also requires a lot of CPU power, and it's the industry standard to the fact that industries use it, but then make their own plugins and their own version of it to use in their projects.
During the production of this film, they said they found it incredibly useful to render using 3D rendering software to develop the 2D animation style, because they could accurately render kind of overhead lighting in a three-dimensional space, so it would actually look like paper animation that was top lit.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So everything casts like a little shadow. So everything kind of genuinely does look like paper the entire time. It does a really good job of emulating that kind of organic tactility.
I just want to know how
paper.
they did it. Like, did they scan like these paper things?
I
and
think
put
they
it
scanned.
in, or...
I think originally in the first series, I think they scanned paper in. But again, I'm not sure.
Because
I'll just cut that bit out.
Because all the textures and everything, and even the cuts of things,
yeah,
it genuinely looked like paper cutouts.
Yeah. If you watched a HD
I did.
release of the film, which I think Ben did. I think I watched like a regular
480
4x3. 480p.
Yeah, I watched a widescreen version of it.
Yeah, you would have noticed there's you can actually see like cardboard texturing on all of the characters, which I think we would have missed, Stefan, because we watched a terrible quality version of it.
You can apply textures to 3D models though. Like, that is a thing that can be done. But as Ben said, it's done in such a way that you can 100% believe that it's paper animation. The fact that everything also looks really rough makes it look really paper animation too, because usually 3D animation has this problem of looking too clean.
And I don't know how that compares to the regular show, like if it's better or worse.
Oh, the same.
It's about the same.
Okay.
This is one of those cinematic adaptations that you can really say feels like a long episode.
Because it is.
Because the animation style feels almost identical.
I had a feeling it would be the same. Maybe some sequences is a little bit better animated, but...
Yeah. I've noticed there's a couple of... Especially when they're in... That there's a scene when Kenny goes to hell.
Yeah.
Oh, definitely.
That was really well done.
There's some primitive kind of 3D animation that actually kind of looks charming in how simple it is.
I like
but then there's actual kind of like accurately textured fire and things like that.
Yeah, there's good particle effects.
When ordinarily in the first season of the show they would animate fire with like cardboard.
Cutouts,
totally. I like the choreography of the MK song.
Oh, we'll go through it chronologically.
But just mentioning it now.
But yeah, let's start. So the film opens with its opening Disney parody number. I think it's called Quiet Mountain Town.
Yep.
I liked the Indiana Jones homage where they did the Paramount logo actually transforming into a mountain.
Yeah, that was great. Yeah.
I also love the contrast of you've got the mountain and then it's just this really badly like paper textured mountain. It's like, yep, this is the world you're stuck in. Get used to it.
Yeah, so the opening number is like basically a parody of, Disney opening numbers, like a kind of Beauty and the Beast kind of thing.
It did sound like Belle's opening song.
Yeah, you just kind of skip through the village. It's very wholesome.
It is very wholesome.
We were talking about how like the opening, like the first couple of minutes is kind of comically lighthearted and incredibly clean.
Also my favourite part of the movie.
As Stan kind of progresses through the town and the boys kind of sing this building musical number about how good it is to live in the middle of nowhere.
And I feel like if you've never seen it before, it's like this intro song is a really good introduction to the world.
Yeah, it is a good introduction.
Yeah, they kind of ebbs through the town. You kind of get a little introduction to where each of these boys are from.
And also each of the characters and what they're going to bring to the film. Like, Kyle's pretty much introduces like, oh, he's the main character who has the main plot.
No, Stan, I think.
Oh, Stan, sorry.
Yeah.
I'm trying to still get the names. Kenny's kind of introduced that, oh, he has a face under that hoodie. And you think, oh, maybe he's going to come into play.
Which
and
it does.
It introduces not introduces, but it shows who's the mother? Kyle's mum.
Yeah.
It shows Kyle's mum having like a very opinionated stance on things. And you think, okay, it's starting to build its pieces like a usual setup musical would.
Yeah. The opening number is again your introduction to all of the key players in this. And as you notice, when Stan kind of walks past one of the electronic shops in the main strip, he walks past a TV with Terrence and Phillip playing on it.
Yeah,
I didn't notice that till the second time I saw it. That was really good.
Yeah, you're introduced to every one of these little elements. But yeah, the opening is oddly wholesome, which echoes, well, not echoes, I think Book of Mormon echoed this, but the same kind of storytelling structure is used in Book of Mormon as well. Because Mormons are always viewed as kind of like a comically wholesome people. And the first kind of 15 or so minutes of that musical are incredibly kind of, very light, very wholesome, very happy, lots of smiles. As soon as they get to Africa in the Book of Mormon, because they're stationed in Uganda, I think, the people of Uganda sing a song about basically how shit everything is.
Yeah.
And
It's
that's
the opposite of Hakuna Matata. Pretty
Yeah,
much.
yeah, it's a parody of Hakuna Matata. From that song is just full of swearing.
It is.
And from that point on, it's just like no holds barred. And it's the same thing with this film, where it's incredibly wholesome until you get to the boys seeing the Terrence and Phillip film.
Which is in the first 5 minutes.
And then it's just vulgarity from like here on out, from there.
Structure-wise, though, that is such a good, like... That's such a good structure in terms of, here's your setup, here's your lore, and then here's the inciting incident that changes everything.
Yeah, exactly.
Like, it
There's your
works
drive.
so well.
I do like how they introduced the inciting incident really early on instead of dragging it out until it gets to it, which is what quite a few movies do that, which makes the first act seem quite
But, again, with this, I just felt like, considering I've never seen a South Park episode before, I thought it was all going to be crass. Viewing this just as a musical structure, it really got me in the drive. Like, the second I've heard the first song, I thought, yeah, I'm going to enjoy this.
Oh, it's a surprisingly great musical.
It is a really good...
Yeah, I should have opened with that. If you like musicals, I think you owe it to yourself to kind of watch this, because it really abides by traditional musical structure. Like, it has like kind of bookended opening songs and a finale reprise. Yeah.
That's phenomenal.
It has a great villain song. Like, it's a lot of really great stuff. There's like character songs in the middle. It's fantastic.
And even if you don't like South Park, like me,
yeah, like
and
a lot
Stefan,
of us, none of us are regular South Park watchers or have that much background. But
even if you don't like it, after you get past the first 20 minutes, so it really gets into it, and it's really good from there. So just power through it and watch it.
Yeah.
Also, as you can probably tell, this is a spoiler-full review.
No, it's a spoiler-free podcast, but we just spoil it.
Yeah. The spoilers abound, so...
Be wary, ye sea mongerers, you.
Kenny dies.
He dies all the time.
How many times did you say? 190 times?
Yeah, 109 times, I think it was, in the show's thing. There's literally a whole page on Wikipedia just dedicated to Kenny deaths. Like, usually on Wikipedia you have, like, character appearance, character personality. Kenny, it's character appearance, Kenny's death. It's just, like, all this whole list.
I'm fairly certain that after this film, Kenny stayed dead for a season or something like that.
Oh, that's good. There's consequences.
Yeah. So there were rough consequences.
Kind of.
Even though South Park is stuck in kind of this weird time loop when the boys don't age, but technology obviously progresses, and they acknowledge that.
Like
That's the same as The Simpsons, though.
And Bob's Burgers and other
Before we
shows.
go on, what I do really like about this opening thing is how it introduces the four boys, and how it really also sets it sets like mini arcs for each one. Like, Kyle gets his song later on, and everyone gets a little song or a moment that shows, here's where they start, this is what their arc's going to be, and at the end we'll have little moments that echo back that arc or reprise it, which, again, fitting the musical structure works really, really well.
Stan's was the most obvious, I would say.
The love story one. Yeah.
I love that, but we'll get to that. All right, so the boys go and see
Terrence and Phillip?
Yeah,
Asses of Fire.
Yeah, the cinematic adaptation of one of their favourite television shows. Terrence and Phillip wasn't created specifically for the film. So the movie in particular is based off a South Park episode called Death, which is season 1, episode 6, which follows basically a wide controversy over the Terrence and Phillip show, because it's seen as just like a crass, terribly animated television series that is kind of corrupting America's youth, which
you can already tell as a response to critics' versions of what South Park was.
It's an in-universe dig at the controversy behind South Park, when people South Park, I think, is genuinely, a lot of the time, is genuinely good satire, and South Park was often kind of belittled by critics, saying that it was nothing but bad animation and fart jokes. So the in-universe version of South Park is just bad animation and fart jokes.
And I do like how they make all of Canada the exact same, like, animated wise, where they have...
Everyone's got flappy heads.
Yeah.
They have Rayman heads. I don't know if you remember the video game character Rayman, but their limbs don't connect to anything. They just kind of flap. So weird.
I do like that difference, though, like, with the clash of cultures of this. I think South Park is a Minnesotan town?
Colorado, I think.
Ah.
I think it's also bold to open with a song, because I feel like in the Venn diagram of South Park fans and musical fans. Like, that doesn't really cross over very much, I wouldn't think.
Yeah, but then again, like, with a lot of the Disney Renaissance just have happened in the real world.
Yeah, there is genuine popularity behind musicals, I guess, at that point. Anyway, so we haven't even started the film yet. But,
so they see the Terrence and Phillips show.
Which brings
movie.
us to the main musical number that almost everybody remembers. I'll bleep most of this, which is Uncle
I can't even sing. This song is one of the catchiest things in the entire film. I cannot sing a word of it. Like, none of it. It's all swearing.
We can't repeat much of it on this podcast because I can't be bothered.
I can say the word donkey, but that's it.
Oh, yeah.
The word donkey is in there a few times, referring to a few lewd acts and other things.
I really like that joke that when they leave, it says 3 hours later. Like, the film is 3 hours long.
It's a long film, and it's just that the entire way.
But yeah, what did you think of, obviously, this song is a parody of the musical Oklahoma, especially, like, the titular musical number. What did you guys think of this song?
It is, as Stefan said, it is very catchy. Like,
it's probably the catchiest one. Probably the catchiest one in the film. I remember this song in particular was one of those like low quality shareware things that I used to see a lot of in like primary school, when people would like find like a low quality version of it and say like, "Oh, watch this! It's like hysterical," and I had no idea like where it was from.
Because it was completely different to the traditional South Park animation, I'm guessing.
Yeah, it's just one of those like early internet things that like people shared that around because it was kind of so lewd that. You know, that I guess that is the joke, but it's one of the catchier songs in there, even though it's an exercise in vulgarity.
What I love about this song, and a lot of the songs in this musical film as it is how happy and energetic and just bouncing like it. The characters when they're animated, they're literally bouncing to the song, and it makes you think,
I'm sorry, that was my phone.
I'm gonna leave that in to publicly shame you.
No! Start that sentence again.
Not living it.
Nah, so I love how energetic and bouncy is. It really reflects the animation in that. But I also love how when the audience starts leaving midway through the song, they're just really dour. They're like, this is just some terrible Canadian foreign film. But it has this mid-shot where it shows the kids in the front row still bouncing. And it's like, that is such a kid thing to do, and of course they're going to mimic all the swearing that the characters on the film do, because that's what kids say. And this song really set up, like, the second I heard this and I heard how happy it was, and I saw, look at how the audience are responding to this, it really was a great opening to show, okay, I get what's going to happen. These two are going to be in the line of fire because these parents are going to hate it and these kids are going to absolutely love it. And it really showed those three sides of the coin. Three sides of the coin, I know, odd expression, but it showed those sides in a really unique and just bold way. Like, even the ending of that song is just like an extravagant, like, all the Philip and Terrence characters just like hands in the air, Canadian flags in the background just going, yeah, this is amazing. It's like, okay, so this is how they've set up Canada be. That Canada is representative of that. Philip and Terrence, and that comes to play really quickly in a very prominent way in the film. So I loved it.
I actually think it took a while to get into it, but then again, as I said before, I wasn't in the right mindset to watch this film. So to me, it just felt like it took a bit too long to get to that.
For me, it was the opposite. This This set up that was happening, and it really drove to the point, okay, I've got the plot. It's very clear in my head what's going to happen. So that predictability and setup really worked well for me. Michael, what did you think of it? Like, you asked what we thought about it.
Oh, I just think it's just really catchy. That's it.
Okay, so continuing on.
Okay, so I guess we'll kind of break it up via songs, because I guess they're the kind of almost the focal point of the film. But the next number is, the kids get in trouble for swearing, the parents get involved, and they go and see the school counsellor.
Oh, well, wait, you forgot Stan's song.
Oh yeah, there's also Stan's little kind of love ballad from Stan, kind of punctuates throughout the song, because Stan is kind of
in love with Wendy.
In love with a girl named Wendy.
But she's kind of got her eyes set on this French, like,
no,
romantic...
it's English. He's English.
Is he English?
He's English.
Yeah, English romantic Gregory?
Gregory, that's it, yeah. Yeah, I like how kind of the film almost has like no time for Stan's love ballad. Like they kind of it goes quickly and then he just vomits and it's over every time.
It always ends on something like, I wish she could notice me. Hi, Stan. Blah!
That was always unexpected to me, even though I knew it was coming. So I always found that pretty.
It's always funny because it's just directly in her face every time.
Yeah, he doesn't even try to stop it either. Again, that goes for that's the sort of crassness that I expected of the episode, of the series as a whole.
There's a little bit of toilet humor. But
See, I thought because it was unexpected, I liked it.
I
Whereas-
thought it was funny.
Yeah, but yeah, as I said, with all the like swearing, like the kids swearing just because they can, that was expected, and that just wore really thin for me.
Okay.
But that's just me.
As a humour, though, but in terms of structure, I think
in terms of structure, it works.
reflected what kids do when they see a film. They're going to parrot everything and repeat it as much as possible.
Okay, so the kind of the kids get in trouble at school for swearing and kind of mimicking Terrence and Phillip and see the school counsellor, where we have our next kind of big musical number. It's Easy MK, sung by Mr. Garrison.
I liked this song. I know Stefan.
No, Mr. Mackey. Sorry, Mr. Garrison's
yeah.
the other teacher.
I liked that song just because it was nice choreography and it was like such a weird way to get people to not to swear while swearing as well.
Yeah.
Doesn't make sense, but it's really
I like
fun.
that. How he's just how he's just like, you shouldn't say this, and you should like instead of saying this, you should say this, and the last rule is just you shouldn't say just don't say that. And in giving that warning, he says it like 3 times. But that's awesome. What do you think of that song, Stefan?
Again, I'm going to look at it analytically, that word.
Soliloquy.
Analytically?
That one too, Ben, as well as my one. But I think it works in that it's saying there's a bit of hypocrisy in that they don't want the kids to swear, but they swear themselves. And they're not saying don't say bad things. They're saying just don't use those particular words. And that punctuates how broken that philosophy is.
Yeah.
Which becomes more into play later. But in terms of the song, I just don't like it. Like, I don't like how he pronounces okay.
That's kind of the character,
Like, it's
though.
so like, ugh.
That's the character. But I like how well, I guess one of the central themes of the movie is hypocrisy.
Yeah, definitely.
And this song kind of illustrates that. And later on, that kind of theme gets a little bit more apparent or a little bit more heavy-handed.
But I like the choreography in it as well.
Yeah, because
like,
it
was classical musical dancing numbers.
Yeah, spins around the kids.
Yeah. And just seeing it in this like shittily animated style.
Yeah.
And was the meeting before this, where the parents met with the
Principal?
No, yeah. That movie has worked.
Something I did not like about that scene was where Cartman's mum stepped behind him. No, it was Carl's mum stepped behind Cartman, and the dress and his beanie were the same color.
Oh, and they kind of blend together.
Yeah, that's one of the things.
I kind of like that in a way because it's kind of like it mimics kind of you're limited in the color of the construction paper.
I just don't like for a film. I just don't like how they did stuff like that, where there was like bad tensions, bad colors interacting with each other, so you couldn't tell what was what.
I know how to segue into... So after the council, the counseling with the students, he says, okay, kids, take the rest of the day off and do something that can relax you and reflect on what you do. They go immediately to the film again and watch it again. It's like, that was great.
That was a funny cut.
I love how it's a hard cut too.
Yeah.
And you see like you kind of see the ending of the film, and I can't imagine in my mind how like there doesn't seem to be any narrative structure to the film at all. It's just 3 hours of just nothing. Which
is what some people say Endgame is like. Because people don't like Endgame.
Endgame's fine. We're back to South Park. Which we get their first cinematic Kenny death.
Yes. I really enjoyed this.
It's a funny scene. So basically Kenny lights a fart on fire and does that really great thing that we love when there's just like one beat and then he bursts into flames. And he's killed on the operating table by Dr. George Clooney.
They are so horrible. Like, that scene is so bad.
Oh, it's comically violent.
It is, but
it's really uncomfortable.
We're losing him. They take out his heart and put it in the microwave with a potato.
Yeah, they actually. Yeah, we replace your heart with a baked potato. You have about 6 seconds to live.
But because this was so unexpected, I just enjoyed it so much because I just thought the whole thing was going to be censorship of of swearing and stuff, so I didn't expect the violence part.
No, it's a violent film as well.
It's chaotic, that scene, because all the doctor's arms are flailing around. They're like throwing bones from his
Oh,
body.
my
It's like,
favorite one is
he's
that, like,
not gonna live.
My favorite joke in that scene is that all the doctors are just like scrambling to get this kid open, and there's this one doctor in the background just screaming with his hands up, just like not participating. Yeah.
It was just so bizarre, and they made use of the animation as well, which is something good. Where
Yeah, I like how they have that kind of burnt texture to Kenny. That looked really cool.
And they did the classic Kenny line where each of the boys say,
Oh
"Oh
my
my
God.
God, you killed Kenny!"
You bastards! Yeah.
So that's always good where they harken back to the
TV
original show. So that's always nice.
And then Kenny goes to hell, and which we get our next musical number, which I'm pretty sure is called "Hell Isn't Good,"
wow, you
Wow.
didn't have to sing that to me, but sure, go ahead.
which is sung by the lead singer of Metallica.
What's his name? We'll never know.
I don't actually
Don't look it up, Michael.
I'm just gonna
No.
call him Dave.
Okay,
Dave.
The lead singer of Metallica.
Okay, this number was great for me and Ben because we were both unexpecting it. It had really nice for the time, really nice 3D animation
So-
of like demons trying to rip apart Kenny.
Hitler and Gandhi are there.
It's a dated 3D animation, but it's something that fits in the world of South Park. Like there was like really cool fire spirits, and then like
Yeah, they looked really good actually.
yeah, they were yeah.
The palette looked so good, like it looked really fiery and just not a place you want to be. And I was
Yeah.
like, yeah, this
And
works really well.
It looks like the paper that Kenny's made of is like illuminated by kind of orange bulbs.
Yeah, and I really like how it was just actual photos just stuck on their heads.
That is one of my favorite things in animation. Whenever there's just like an incongruous live action segment in it, or like there's a lot of moments in South Park when it's an animated universe, but they'll have like a picture or a poster of just a live action person.
yeah, they did that
that
quite a bit with this.
Yeah, that always
this
makes
movie.
me laugh, and I really like that. Especially like they have a whole character with that. It's like Saddam Hussein, who we'll get to later.
We'll get to him soon, actually. It's right after this.
Yeah, but
What I do like, just in general with this sequence, is it's fun that a movie about 4 boys learning to swear has a subplot where one of the boys is stuck in hell.
yeah,
That is such a bizarre subplot.
with the oddly kind of kind devil.
Oh, before
Yeah.
Oh wait, we're not to the devil yet. We got one more.
wait,
song.
before we get to that, just before the MK song, there was also another really bad tangent that I just could not get over. So it was when the Canadian president or whatever, he was on the TV with Carl's mum, like they were
Oh
doing an
yeah,
interview,
yeah.
and the bottom of his mouth was flush with the cabinet behind him.
Oh, so you could.
And I didn't focus on anything
I
else
didn't
apart
notice
from
that.
that. I hated that so much. I didn't pay attention to anything else in that scene except for that.
I didn't notice that.
That's where it's a bit bad when the aesthetic itself is detrimental to how you view the scene.
Yeah,
and
but-
that wouldn't have been purposeful. I reckon that's a complete mistake.
Yeah.
Like if you move the background slightly higher,
Or
it would have
slightly
been fine.
down.
Yeah.
Just like literally 2 millimeters up or down would have been fine.
But maybe if you're like an authority figure watching it and it aggravates you, then it's doing its job.
Yeah.
It's anti-authority
Okay,
all the way.
back to the
Alright,
health stuff.
So, what's it called? So, after inadvertently causing the death of one of their friends, the boys are grounded for 2 weeks.
It was completely Kenny's fault, though.
It's kind of Kenny's fault, yeah.
Well, actually, it's
kind of all
mainly
their
the
fault.
doctor's fault.
Arguably one of the most popular or lasting songs of the film is Blame Canada,
Blame Canada.
which is basically a song about kind of redirecting blame away from
Bad
parents.
parenting.
Yeah. It's basically trying to either make excuses or forgive kind of like neglectful parenting.
Yeah.
And blaming kind of media distributors.
Just other things in society in general.
Yeah. It's a song about redirecting blame, which is really
It's
funny.
a good social commentary song that still holds up.
Well, I
And-
don't think that's ever going to change. People
No.
are always going to shift blame, and that song
Yeah.
is always going to be representative of that.
I
Yeah.
like how they use Carl's mum's character for that though, because it's set up at the start that okay, she's gonna do something in this film because she's opinionated. She's got this boisterous. Oh, the kids have to be like this and this and this. So this song really felt like this is her anthem
Yeah.
and what she represents.
I also like the kind of the thing that kind of the line that's kind of indicative of the core theme of the song is the last one, which is something like, "We must blame Canada and cause a fuss before somebody thinks of blaming us."
Yes.
Yeah.
Is the last line.
And there's also a really great gag in the background where they're putting signs over the movie theater which says, "Oh, this is the MPAA rating, which is 1 minute long."
Yeah, it's the recut MPAA approved version, and it's 1 minute long.
I wonder what that minute
Phyllis and
was.
Terrence movie.
This song was actually nominated for an Academy Award.
Really?
Yeah, I guess it's the only song from the film which could be eligible for an Academy Award.
But I mean, there's not that many musicals or anything in like every year, so
No.
I guess it makes sense.
It does.
The
But
only
I
other
wouldn't
movie
have-
I can think of that came out this year was The Phantom Menace, and that had no songs.
Thank goodness. Otherwise, it would have made it even longer.
So it was nominated at the 72nd Academy Awards, where it lost to Phil Collins.
What song? Was it the Tarzan
It was
song?
for Tarzan, yeah.
That's
really-
understandable. Phil Collins is amazing.
Phil Collins is great. Yeah, and it was sung by Robin Williams at the 72nd Academy Awards, where a gasp was used in place of the F word in that song.
That's cool.
Yeah.
That's a good way to not use it. I
Yeah, so
guess.
that's kind of the lasting influence
Did
of
he
that
do?
song.
Did he do a voice for it, or just?
No, he
do
just sung it
use-
as Robin
yeah,
Williams.
okay.
There's clips of it online if anybody would like to watch it. Yeah, so war is declared on Canada, and we cut back to hell, where we find out that Satan is in a homosexual relationship with former Iraq President Saddam Hussein.
Was he dead by
Yeah.
that time?
No, he died in 2005, I think.
Okay.
Yeah. But yeah, Saddam Hussein was comically kind of alive at this point, and was, in the South Park universe anyway, the devil's partner.
Yeah,
What did you think of Saddam Hussein in this film?
he was a lot. That's all I'll say about. I liked Satan. He was a good character.
Satan's a fun character.
There's something I want to say about Satan that I really liked, but we'll keep talking about Saddam Hussein.
I love his design, how it's just literally just like a presidential photo of him.
Yeah,
And that's
He's got
it.
stick arms
And
too.
he's got his little flappy Canadian head.
and I liked how just the eyes just shifted all the time as well.
Mm.
Yeah, it's a nice different way of animating compared to the regular South Park and Canadian South Park characters.
But yeah, that's where we're introduced to the devil and Saddam. Anyway, okay.
Okay, so I like how Satan is represented like a romantic soul. Like he wants to go
Yeah.
outside, he wants to see the world, but he can't because people deem him as evil, and so he has to be there. Like that feeds into that religious theme that they have in the film, and also the whole censorship of what is good, what is evil. Like in this film, is Satan really a bad guy in this film? He's not. He's being charged by Hilda Hussein, who's the real antagonist of this film, which is so odd to say. But I liked how they managed that. It was a really interesting take on the idea.
Yeah.
I completely agree with that.
Yeah, so do I.
So
Okay,
what happens afterwards?
Now we have the next song. This is one of your favourites, Stefan. Kyle's mum's a bitch.
This embodies Cartman's character. It's one of his most famous songs, and it is just a joy to watch.
It's one of those, yeah, again, one of those like incredibly just catchy kind of theatrical musical numbers. It's really good, and made a note that I was really impressed that I think, I'm not sure if it's Trey Parker or Matt Stone who voices him, but could sing with all that voice modulation.
Yeah.
Yeah, like it's kind of it's catchy
And it's really fast too. It's not a slow paced song.
yeah, because I don't think the voices are. I'm not sure if the voices are sped up or if the pitch has just changed.
Oh, you got a point there.
But yeah, I especially like in that song how it has a big Broadway Bring It Home ending.
I love that so much, and the trumpets sound so good.
Again, weirdly competent musical, musical
And
numbers.
again, borrowing those dance numbers as well, which I really always enjoy in these sorts of things. Just
Yeah.
because I like just to imagine it without all the music and they're just doing it anyway.
Oh yeah, that's always fun as well.
I know that's not how musicals work, but that's how I always
In
imagine it.
terms of a comedic, what do you call it? A comedic framework. I love those sort of jokes where you have the person standing behind this person who's like going off about how horrible the person behind them is, and they're oblivious to it. They just say what they think. And I think that's why this ending, where it's the really extravagant Broadway ending, just makes that joke even funnier.
Like the joke is telegraphed so far in advance, but it just keeps getting worse.
Yeah, he could have ended it just normally in the normal thing, but no, he has to do the bring it home slow, just really draw it out. I love it. It's one of the best songs, one of the highlights of the movie for me.
Okay, yeah, so we have kind of anyway, this scene with the doctor played by Eric Idle, who proposes installing a V chip inside every child in South Park, which will kind of elicit an electric shock to the child every time that they swear. Yeah, I kind of like how, yeah, again, it's just a satire of kind of like overtly draconian parenting that doesn't really fix the problem. Because again, it's a problem with like people not being able to kind of moderate what their children watch. And instead of that, they propose kind of remedial remedies instead of preventative ones.
Yeah, it's just a really...
Oh, remedial remedies. That's stupid.
Look,
It's the same
I know
word.
what you're trying to say,
It's
though.
the same word, yeah.
It's just a good scene. Like, it works.
Yeah, and then we lead into...
I like how they're telling him to swear, and they're swearing as they say it. Like,
Yeah.
say... And he doesn't want to say it, but they're like, come on, say it. Again, it leads into that hypocrisy, and it's just... It's really interesting.
I think here it's announced that they're going to kill Terrence and Phillip.
Yeah, I think it's right after.
Yeah, when
before they do the next song. They announce that they're going to try and execute.
They said they're going to
Terrence and
execute
Phillip.
Terrence and Phillip.
And this is where they do the World War II comparisons that are really like, they're a bit heavy. Like how they're putting the Canadians
yeah,
into
in like
death
concentration
camps.
camp. Did I say death camps? I meant happy camps.
But yeah, it's just it gets really dark really quickly, and it's such a silly premise too, where you have America declaring war on Canada. Like it's such a bizarre
And Canada's, like, it's always... I like how Canada's, like, often portrayed in American media where, like, no one likes them. Like, Americans don't like them.
They're like
because-
an underdog almost, yeah.
Yeah. Even though they're just usually portrayed as happy people who occasionally do some weird stuff here and there, but as a whole, generally happy people.
Just the nicest people ever.
Yeah. But then Americans just hate them because they're the opposite of that, I guess.
Next song, which I have a lot to say about structure-wise.
What would Brian Boitano do?
Yes.
Which I think is kind of forgettable, but you two seem to really like.
No, because we watched it beforehand,
Oh, okay.
and I'm just like, who is this Brian?
He's an ice skater.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's like, for some reason he goes on many adventures in the South Park universe.
It's a bizarre, like, when you just attribute kind of like a deified status to an arbitrary person, like kind of Chuck Norris in a way.
And it's
when,
such
when
a-
there's nothing particularly kind of overtly noteworthy about that individual.
But the kids like build rooms.
Yeah, for some reason there's just
there's a semblance of irony behind it.
Yeah, I just think it's so weird that that's their idol out of all people.
But that is the joke. that
Yeah, I know.
Of all people, it's that guy.
In terms of structure-wise, I have a lot to say with simply what it represents. This scene. This is like the resolve scene of a musical and a movie where, like, the characters have worked out what their arcs are and they even announce what they're going to try and do. So, Kyle says in this song, like, I'm going to stand up to my mum and say what I really think.
Yeah.
And then
everyone affirms what their arc resolution is
Cartman's
going
like,
to be.
I want to get rid of this V chip because I want to swear.
Yeah.
And that's his arc. And then the other guy's like, I've got to be political because that's what Wendy would like. And so you've got those three major arcs set up there. And it even suggests that they're going to start this journey to achieve them by them walking into the sunset, going like, that's what Brian Boitano do. And they're like, they do mid-jump and it cuts. Like, I think that's really... Like, it's on the nose. Like, you know, it's like, oh, they're just stating their arcs.
Yeah.
But it's always fun to see that.
No,
the
but, like,
film is so tightly written, it can do that.
Trey Parker and Matt Stone, being kind of like the musical fans that they are kind of like slavishly, they're adherent to musical structure and how different songs kind of denote different core parts in a screenplay.
Yeah, so this would definitely be the midpoint, like the happy song. This is the one that drives you up. Usually in musical structures, the sad songs are usually reprises, and that even comes to play here.
Yeah.
But they're not really sad songs.
It's even got an 11 o'clock medley,
Oh,
Stefan.
it's so good.
But
this isn't even halfway into the film yet.
it's about 3/4 almost. I mean, it's a short song.
The song, it ends...
We're gonna talk about-
it ends just before the halfway mark.
Yeah, that's about it.
We're going to talk about the next song now. All right, so it hard cuts back to hell and kind of shows Satan's and Saddam Hussein's marital problems. And that's when you get the...
Because Kenny's trying to convince Satan to stand up for himself and believe what he thinks is, like, right.
Yeah, and that's where you get kind of... It's kind of like what's that song from The Little Mermaid? Party of World. It's kind of Party of World,
yeah.
and it's kind of like... Is it Up There or Out There from Hunchback of Notre Dame?
Yep.
It's kind of like an amalgam of those kind of Disney songs about yearning to be part of the...
Larger world.
Yeah, larger world, the normal people.
Again, for me, that builds into Satan's character in this film being that romantic, just, I want to see what's out there.
He's an old hopeless romantic, and the song was almost like this Michael Bolton power ballad.
Yeah.
Like, it's really funny. It has actually a really nice bit of animation at the start of the song when it kind of, like, he stands on the balcony and it does kind of this rotational turn towards him, which looks really good.
I find it odd that Satan in this is the one character who wants to talk about his feelings.
Yeah.
And wants to talk about...
He's the most in touch with his emotions.
Whereas the people, like the mums who are considered the good people, want to immediately go to violence and kill everything.
Yeah.
So that's such a bold thing to put in your film.
Satan in this film is the pacifist. Even though he sings his song like in front of people who are being like tortured.
But
Actually, I also like going back to that for like Metallica hell bit. I like how the joke is that heaven has a population of like 12,000 people, but hell has like 106 billion.
Everyone's
yeah. Yeah, so Up There's great. And it's ironically a gospel song almost at the end.
Yeah.
Which, again, is just funny.
It builds into that irony. He even does the shot where he reaches out through the portal like Ariel does in The Little Mermaid.
Lot of Disney... The whole thing is almost like structured like a Disney musical because, again, you know, the joke is that it's incongruous. It's ironic that something this, like, profane would adopt kind of that Disney structure.
Yeah.
Anyway, we're skipping over a little bit of it because I don't think there's that much noteworthy stuff in between a couple of the songs. But then we get to what's my favourite song in it, which is the 11 o'clock medley, which is just called the La Resistance medley.
Which is really great how they just meshed all the songs prior into this one great medley.
This is how you do a medley.
This is how you do a medley, where you have an orchestral backing running through the whole thing, and it's a seamless amalgam of every preceding song that has some thematic or character relevance.
Yeah, and it works really well. It cuts to every character. I love in this song how it cuts to all the parties involved in the war.
And then the last one is the windowed, the four...
Yeah, it has the four windows. But I love how then it cuts to our main characters and they kind of just seem like a little part of this bigger picture. I love those sort of things where it's like...
Well, they're the uprising.
Yeah.
They're La Resistance.
No, but I mean like the three kids in particular are not part of the resistance. They're kind of their own thing.
Yeah.
No.
It's also a song about waiting, like, just biding their time before revolution, which is also, I think Trey Parker said that this is a parody, well, a direct parody at least of One Day More from Les Miserables.
Oh, definitely. It's got so many Les Mis vibes. The second Gregory started singing, I thought, yeah, this is going to be a Les Mis parody.
Yeah.
He's got his sword and everything. It's like, are they going to stand on chairs like they do in
I like how he stands on his soapbox. It's a box of soap. That's great.
And then Butters falls over.
Yeah, that's how it ends.
This is back in like the first seasons of the shows when Butters didn't really have a character, just kind of like this dumb, accident-prone kid in the background. Yeah, this also comes a little bit early for a traditional kind of third act, like 11 o'clock medley.
Again, it's literally like
the last
just
third.
before 2/3 of the film.
Yeah, it comes a little bit early because usually this should be kind of before the thrust of the third act. And the film being a little bit short has kind of condensed acts with like kind of an unusually long a usually short second one and a long third one.
Well, this one definitely has a long
third act. Traditionally is the shortest act in a screenplay.
The long third act doesn't have as many songs though. So if we're seeing it as a third act like a musical structure, this would pretty much be where this song takes place. It just so happens there's a long gap where there's no songs.
Yeah. Well, this has Super Big Gay.
I don't like that song.
I like that. We'll get to that, but okay.
No, isn't that the next song?
Okay, no. The next song I think is the most forgettable one, which is Saddam Hussein's "I Can Change."
I skipped it.
Yeah, I think it's kind of boring.
It's just him saying, "Oh, take me back, please." Okay. That's the crux of the song.
Yeah, I don't think it's particularly catchy or
also
memorable.
The voice. I think because it's such a like scratchy type of voice, it just doesn't lend itself to a song.
Yeah. There is kind of one funny joke when like he's saying he can change, but he gets like just more manic as he goes.
Yeah.
Otherwise, I don't think it's super noteworthy. I think again in a song kind of like bristling with, a movie kind of bristling with really high quality musical numbers. I think you're bound to have one that's kind of nondescript and forgettable.
What I found though, in terms of like musical structure, as we've been hounding on about, there's no comic relief song. Like, you could see that as the super...
But the whole thing is kind of... They're all comic relief songs in a way.
Yeah.
Because it is in and of itself a comedy.
Yeah. But I mean, like, usually, you know, after the second act in a musical, you usually have that nondescript song that's just fun.
Yeah.
I guess that could
Like-
go to that Big Al song,
Yeah.
but I didn't find that
But
fun.
like, would you say
I
like
like the Big Gay Al song, but
would
that's
you
coming
say
up.
like Hakuna Matata in The Lion King would be that relief
Yeah.
song? Yeah.
Yeah, but Lion King is not a comedy, strictly speaking.
No.
No,
that's
no.
true.
I
But
mean,
in
like,
a musical.
it's a musical structure. You usually have just that fun, light-hearted song that's
Yeah.
just there
And
to...
there isn't really one here, because that usually be like in the middle of the second act.
Yeah, it's after the second act, like right after.
You reckon?
Yeah.
Hakuna Matata is the start of the second act.
Yeah, but right after the main thing where Mufasa, like, dies.
Oh, yeah. So
Spoiler
yeah,
to...
Spoiler to...
99, you know, Lion King.
1993, whatever it was.
I don't remember.
Okay, so then we get to like the USO show bit when almost like a paramilitary group run by Kyle's mum called Mothers Against Canada is set to execute Terrence and Phillip in a fabulous USO show for the troops. And I kind of like the the aesthetic sensibility of this kind of stuff. Of like that scene in particular, that it's like it's a particularly kind of like wartime kind of USO kind of militaristic kind of celebratory display, and I kind of like that because that aesthetic is kind of tied in really directly, tied in thematically to like an almost immoral veneration of violence, which kind of speaks a little bit to American culture and kind of Western culture in general, that we unironically kind of venerate violence. We take kind of solace in it, and we're entertained by it, which is an entire other kind of moral discussion. But at the same time, we have this complete moral aversion to kind of profanity.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like they're completely willing to celebrate the violent execution of two, you could argue, kind of innocent people, as long as nobody says any dirty words.
And that's exactly what Kyle's mum says.
We'll get to that line, because I know we want to talk about that. Because that kind of sums up the entire
Yeah,
film.
say it now, though.
The entire theme and hypocrisy of the entire movie can be kind of surmised in the one line by Kyle's mum when she says, "Horrific, deplorable violence is okay, as long as nobody says any naughty words."
Perfect.
Yeah.
Which is just a good line.
Very prevalent in like the blockbuster culture of movies as well, where you have all these like violent things, like all the Avengers films. There's so much violence and stuff in it.
Yeah.
Yet, like
We can't say the F word.
yeah, you can't say that for otherwise it'll get bumped up to like an MA rating here,
Yeah,
and all that sort of stuff.
Especially in like, there's like, you can't say the F word in say you're talking about Avengers 4 before, but someone gets their throat violently cut in that film on screen. And like, yeah, well, what is worse for children? I guess you could argue that swearing is easier for children to replicate or
Yeah.
mimic. Like, I guess it's conceptually easy to say the F word. It's practically more difficult to slice someone's throat.
Yeah, it's not something you can easily replicate on a day-to-day basis.
Yeah.
I mean,
I just can't stop stabbing.
it is easy, but not mentally. Physically, it's
Jesus
easy.
Christ, Ben.
Ben, leave. Just
Look,
go.
all I'm saying is that if you're in the right mindset,
This is not the place to confess to whatever you've done.
just don't go to my backyard, please. That's all I ask. But yeah, I just like all that like censorship stuff. How censorship is just very arbitrary.
Yeah,
into
yeah.
how we want it to be.
Yeah, like our morals are not really easily definable. Like they are arbitrary, and it is, when you kind of lay it all out, it is kind of confusing why we're more adverse to some things as opposed to others. Anyway, that line is kind of on the nose, but it kind of it's an excellent kind of distillation of the entire ethos of that film and the kind of the show in general. Then we get our next song, which is The Number by Big Gay Al.
Wait, you forgot to introduce Mole. The
Not
Mole.
much to say
There's not
about
much to say
Mole.
about Mole.
I really like him just because I didn't expect them to introduce another character this late into the game.
Okay, there's a character called Mole. Ben, who's this character?
So it's just like this French kid.
French resistance
kid who just
like saboteur. Yeah.
yeah, and
And he
he's
doesn't
just
like
this-
guard dogs.
yeah, and it's just like this hardcore kid, and he just gives Cartman this one instruction.
Yeah. to
Cartman
flip the
F's it
alarm
up, which
switch.
cause him to die.
Yeah.
Which
Violently kill a child on screen. Yeah.
But he does it with the reprise of La Resistance, which is
Yeah.
Again, musical structure. There's an emotional reprise of
And
La Resistance,
out of
which is weird. You don't usually reprise the medley,
no.
Yeah.
which is a strange one.
But he's the character that to me most embodies the resistance because
She's the parody of like World
Of-
War II and like
Yeah.
French Revolution resistance fighters.
which is why I really liked him and he stuck out to me.
Yeah. Also, someone pointed out to me that when he checks his watch, there's a piece of text above it that says "Third Act Ticking Clock."
Really, that's
Yeah,
really
it
clever.
says it on the watch face.
Okay, so Super Big Gay Al.
Big Gay Al, I'm super. Thanks for asking. What do you think? Full frontal nudity in this one.
Yep. It was a bit on the nose.
Yeah, it's just that. Yeah, if anything doesn't directly affect you, it's not noteworthy, I suppose.
It to me it just felt like a filler song.
It's a filler, but the song is literally stalling.
Yeah.
The song is to stall time.
It is.
It also this has my I'll bleep this again, but this has my favorite. Like it's not that funny, but it's my favorite delivery in the film, which is just like when they're trying to, Kyle and Stan are trying to get Al to sing the song so they have a couple more minutes. And then he keeps saying, like, oh, you don't want to hear a song from me. He's like, no, sing the song, sing the song. He's like, oh, are you sure? I haven't prepared. And you just hear Kyle in the background and yell, sing the song!
Yeah,
it's like that desperation. He's just that delivery.
I really did like their stalling and all their attempts to do all that.
That was cool. That was like you had like the different parts. You had Mole having one little adventure, Cartman failing his, and then the two other boys trying to do their part. And it was nice to see that. It's always a good.
I'm a sucker for underdogs. What can I say?
Yeah. Basically, we want to like fast forward a little bit. So we kind of get to the end, which is the big climactic battle between the Canadian and US forces.
So much violence in this scene.
Yeah, it's the big climactic. Yeah, it's an incredibly kind of it is a violent scene, isn't it?
It has one of the I think the best jokes in the movie where earlier it was said, the African Americans have to go first into line of battle.
What is Operation Human Shield?
Anyway, so then when it gets to the actual battle and they're at the front line, so the Canadians begin to shoot and then they all duck out of the way.
Yeah, that's funny.
And cause all the other troops to die.
Yeah.
It was unexpected and it was a good subversion of that trope as well. So yeah, I find that really good.
I also like because kind of an element of the plot at this point is that if the blood of the Canadians is spilled on if the blood of the Canadians is spilt on American soil, then a prophecy is fulfilled where Satan will take over the world with Saddam Hussein.
Philip and Terrence's blood, not just
it's Philip and Terrence's. Sorry, yeah. Anyway, that basically happens. This all comes to a head. There's a war between the American and Canadian factions. And then there's a part where Kyle's mum kind of has
a breakdown.
Basically a breakdown, and in cold blood murders Terrence and Philip
in front of the kids,
which is a great line about hypocrisy as well. She just murders these two in cold blood, and Kyle says, "Holy shit!" And she just says, "Watch your mouth, young man." She's just murdered two people in front of the kids. It's great.
Yeah, that is good.
And then basically Kenny puts it all back together.
Yeah.
He just convinces Satan not to take over the world, and that Saddam Hussein is
influencing him badly.
Influencing him, and Cartman's V chip is corrupted.
Yeah, that's like the end of his arc where he couldn't swear, and then to save the day, he needs to swear as much as he can.
Yeah, it's the ironic thing that his mouth saves. I think Kyle mentions that his mouth saves them all. Cartman Saves the Day by swearing has a really good kind of 3D effect when he kind of lifts off the ground in kind of almost this anime.
Yeah, he has like anime lines behind him. I was actually going to say, it's an anime battle.
Yeah, there's one thing when he just takes a deep breath and he says every word he knows and just blasts Saddam Hussein with lightning. And the last word in that is Barbra Streisand.
Yeah. Barbra Streisand.
Because somehow that is a swear.
I love it. Yeah, then they kind of save the day. Saddam Hussein is defeated. And then we get our musical tradition.
He resets everything as well.
Yeah, we reset everything before the
does.
war happened. Kenny ascends into heaven finally. We get this is the first face reveal of Kenny in the series as well.
And his first speaking line?
He's voiced by Mike Judge, the creator of King of the Hill.
Oh, cool.
Okay.
Yeah, and again with a voice modulation involved.
I think he just talked into his sleeve, I read.
Oh no, when speaking normally, as in Under the Hood talks into his sleeve, but when speaking out loud, as with every child character, the voices are sped up or pitched up. Kenny ascends to heaven, and then we get during that at least, we get our cinematic finale, our traditional musical Disney finale of the Mountain Town reprise.
Yeah.
And it's whole cast, which is always nice.
Whole cast reprise. It's a big...
An orca spinning through the air as well.
I love that. It's just so silly. You get Shamu. But yeah, it's the whole cast. It's everyone takes a bow at the end kind of thing. It's a musical. It's a traditional musical, and it's everyone who's ever been involved in the show. That's where you get your alien cameo as well. He's amongst the crowd.
Okay.
And it's a great thing when the whole song is basically just listing what the town is. It's just comprised solely of adjectives.
No, but it was great. It really builds to the drive of when they finally reach the
mountain town.
The final word.
Fireworks, yeah. It's great. Then Kenny ascends it to heaven, and then we get the finishes, and we get a rock rendition of What Would Brian Boitano Do?
Of course.
I didn't listen to the credits song, so...
Oh, there's a couple of good ones in there. But yeah, I also like how, towards the end of the film, the Gregory plot's kind of hand-waved.
Yeah, no, he's just
like, I never liked Gregory. Was like, what? Yeah, screw him. That was it. Like, we didn't really care like that because no one was really invested in Stan's plot anyway.
No, it's just-
Were you invested in Stan's plot?
I was. Like, because I only brought it up very sparsely,
Yeah.
and I was like, just bring it back. I wanted
The
to
movie never
focus on
seemed to
that.
have time for that, though. It
I
never had
know.
time for his music.
No,
Like,
because
was kinda,
it always ended it
rushed.
with him vomiting. And that's
Exactly.
it.
Anyway, like, yeah, the film is very well bookended. Also, I have a note here that Brooke Shields is played by Minnie Driver.
Who's
Who's
Minnie
Brooke
Driver?
and who's Brooke Shields?
Oh, just two celebrities. I just like how they get one celebrity to play a different celebrity.
Okay.
That's funny in my head. Anyway, that was South Park, Bigger, Longer, and Uncut. What did you guys think?
Look, as a musical and a satire, I really liked it. Again, I wouldn't watch it again for myself though, just because South Park is my thing. But yeah, as a musical and satire, it was very good.
Stefan?
I'm in the same ballpark where it's not something I'd go out of my way to watch, but for what it is and for the time it was made, it has some really nice biting criticisms, and as a musical structure, it works phenomenally. It's just, it's
Yeah.
how you should write, like, I'm not going to list any shows, but there's some shows who have a musical structure, and because of time and budget, they weren't able to follow through on having the climactic medleys, whereas this does it, and it does it so well.
Yeah, it adheres so strongly to traditional musical structure that you could almost study it as just like, this is how you normally would write kind of cinematic
And
musicals.
to get through all the swearing, that's kind of what I did. I just studied it as like, oh yeah, this is a musical.
Like, I'm not a big fan of South Park or anything. I acknowledge that it's a show that I think that like is incredibly clever and often very biting. I really like this film. I think it's great. Again, an incredibly kind of competent, cohesive musical. I think it's more clever than funny most of the time.
Yeah.
It's consistently kind of amusing. And,
I think its humor would come from its also shock value. Like,
Yeah.
we didn't mention some of the more shock things that they did.
Yeah. I think it's not that shocking. I think by today's standard.
Oh no.
Yeah, but back then, and especially the first half of the
Because
film,
now we're kind of like in that kind of post-ironic era when kind of none of this is really shocking anymore. But for something back then to come, something back then, reasonably shocking. But again, it's funny. It's incredibly well made, well structured. Again, Matt Stone and Trey Parker are two incredibly talented people who are just so in tune creatively that like their work just has this incredible kind of polish to it.
It has a lot of character to it as well in its voice.
Yeah. I love how basically every peripheral character is just kind of their voices. Like, there's not much, because they're voice actors, but they're not much of voice acting in the way of voice acting.
it's just their voices with different modulations.
Yeah,
and
with different modulations, or
inflections.
just like kind of different accents and inflections. But I really recommend it. It's an incredibly unexpectedly competent musical. It's a great, kind of brief, concise, snappy comedy film. And you don't have to have watched or even really, liked South Park that much in
As
order
long as
to
you
enjoy
know
it.
what South Park is.
Yeah, as long as you get the basic premise that it's an animated satire about 4 kids in a mountain town. Yeah, again, I think a lot of the satire is, I don't think it runs that deep. I think a lot of it is just kind of surface level, about censorship and the veneration of violence and our kind of incongruous disdain for profanity kind of as a culture. But, I think it's really great. I recommend it. Go out and see it. Buy a ticket.
I will say I would much have rather watched this than what we watched as for in genre class, how we watched Cabaret.
You would want to watch the South Park musical.
I would, because
Cabaret
it's more
was
of a,
sad though.
and it was just that was boring as well.
It wasn't. You think Cabaret's boring?
It was just this person in this grey town doing things, and occasionally there was a song.
That's like
Next-
every.
Next week, Cabaret.
Look,
It's
I
not
didn't like
animated.
Cabaret just because, to me, it just didn't connect with me,
Okay,
and I thought it was way too long.
but yeah, that does make sense. But again, it stands out as a musical, so good on it.
Yeah, we talked about more of the musical, the musical elements as opposed to the animation ones.
Oh, we talked about some.
Okay, the animation, it was the show's animation, which is crappy, but sometimes good.
Well, bye.
No, we talked about the anime fight
we did.
scenes. They were cool.
Yeah, well, I'll cut a bit of
And we
that.
talked about some of the choreography and how some of it also, for me, didn't work with the tangents. Okay.
All right, that's it. What's next?
Ben's in charge of the next topic.
I never know what we do at the end of these.
Okay. Well, usually, sometimes we talk about a trailer, but instead, this time, we are going to talk about the leaked Detective Pikachu movie. Did you watch it, Michael?
I didn't watch all an hour and a half of it.
Okay, so basically, they released
I
the
saw
first...
it though.
They released the first minute of Detective Pikachu, and then...
Oh, is that actually the first minute? Is that how it opens?
I'm assuming it is.
Okay, yeah.
It looks like it. And then it's just Pikachu dancing for an hour and 40 minutes
Apparently,
on a loop.
it's a parody of like an actual like 1980s kind of jazzercise video.
Okay,
That would
I
make
could see
sense.
that.
Yeah, I can
Yeah.
see Ryan Reynolds doing something weird like that.
But from an animation perspective, I really like the dance.
How is that done? Is that because
It
I,
looks
I
like
don't
motion
understand
capture.
because like okay, obviously you guys are across 3D animation more than me. With a character whose bodily proportions are so different from anthropomorphic proportions, how do you mocap stuff like that?
Okay, so
is it all
basic-
keyframed?
No, so that would be. I reckon it's motion capture. They wouldn't have been done on set, but after. So what they will do is like sometimes they will try to make the suit that they're wearing kind of like it.
Yeah.
Like
Or they got the real Pikachu and mocap that.
no.
Pikachu's don't
So
exist.
like they make sure that the motion capture artist would like have the constraints of what the
Oh, okay.
thing would,
Yeah,
like
yeah, yeah.
say with the second Hobbit film, they got Benedict Cumberbatch to do motion capture for the dragon.
Oh yeah, how do you even do that? Yeah.
Yeah, so he would just have
So
to
just
try
a
to
lot of him just,
constrain.
like,
Yeah, he would have to
walking on his
constrain
fists and
himself
stuff,
to do
yeah.
stuff like that. And it's like how in the Planet of the Apes films, how they gave Andy Serkis stilts on his hands,
Yeah.
like how so he
Oh,
can
how
do that
apes-
monkey
yeah,
run.
Yeah.
Yeah,
I assume there's a little like post like
yeah. There's a lot
tweaking
of
on that.
yeah. There is a lot of tweaking
Because you can't just
it's-
take what Andy Serkis did
No.
and put it in an ape.
no.
No.
Yeah.
But yeah, so basically, yeah, they just grab the basic the captured animation and then they tweak it a lot. But yeah, for this, it looked really well done though, and like all the textures and stuff. I think the world of Detective Pikachu looks really good. Like it's a really good translation, unlike Sonic the Hedgehog.
Yeah, let's not go into that again.
So yeah, so I'm looking forward to this. I'm pretty sure I'm seeing it this Saturday.
What do you mean? We saw it. It was that 1 hour thing of
Yeah.
Pikachu dancing.
But I
for
want
one
to
was
pay
re-
for it though.
I for one was really disappointed in the film.
I'm not sure. The character arcs were really great. I liked
Yeah.
how he danced the entire time seamlessly.
lot of fake shots in the trailer.
Yeah. Yeah, so that's
Go see
something that's
Detective
happened.
Pikachu.
If you want.
Hopefully, if we advertise enough stuff, we'll eventually get paid for it.
Yeah. So thank you everyone for listening and hope you join us next week where next week we will be talking about the 4 animated short films for Wallace and Gromit, which
Oh,
are
yay!
the one on the moon and cheese. I forgot what that
We're
was
so good at this.
called. The second one's called The Wrong Trousers.
The one on the moon and cheese, the different pants.
The wrong.
You got what's
It's
the
actually called The Wrong Trousers. Then the third one is called A Close Shave. And
Yep.
the fourth one is A Matter of Loaf or Death.
Yeah, they're all fantastic.
Yeah, they're all about 20 minutes long, so
Yeah, no,
it fits within your.
my constraints. I
It's-
don't put more
that's-
than 90 minutes a week of work
That's
into this
about 80.
podcast.
It's about 85 minutes, so that's all good.
Oh, I know, but I'll put it in Wallace and Gromit's. I really like it.
And it has one of the best train sequences, which we will get to next week.
Yeah, can't wait to talk about. Yeah, because Aardman are kings of this stuff.
So yeah, so make sure to like and subscribe if you can.
We
And-
hate saying it, but
I
it
know.
helps. I think.
And make sure to tune in next week. And what am I trying to say?
Let's just stop it now.
No.
Oh,
And
Cut.
make sure to make
the
sure,
people want to go home.
make sure to share it with friends who you think might like it too. Okay, that's what I was trying to say, Michael. Are you happy?
Aww.
Good night.